I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, June the 24th, brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook, a proven go-to antibiotic for a broad spectrum of cattle diseases and infections, readily available without a script. For more information, go to norbrook.com. We had likely and unlikely heroes at the Senate Ag Committee hearing on Wednesday. And spoiler alert, if you guys haven't already watched it, you might want to stop this right now and go and find it and watch it. But I'm going to give you the high spots of it, in my opinion there. And granted, and if you're watching this report, you know, I'm of the opinion that something needs to be done. We've got to do something. Status quo ain't cutting it. We're losing members of the industry every day at a fast pace, and if we don't do something to change things, you got your packers making 12, 13, 1400 bucks a head, and your cattle feeders losing money. You know, it's tough on the cattle feeders, and you say, well, they're mostly big corporates anyway. Well, the big corporates aren't, because they got the sweetheart deals, but your independents are. Well, you say, how's that going to affect me? I'm a cow-calf man. Well, eventually you're going to unload your cattle at that sale barn, and there's going to be nobody there to bid on. Or there's going to be fewer and fewer and progressively fewer participants in the backgrounding and the feeding, which is going to make less demand for your calves and yearlings. And we've got to start at the top and work down. So I think something needs to be done. I think we need to get a mandated minimum negotiated cash deal done. Bill, one of the two bills, 5014 or Cattle Market Transparency Act, or a hybrid of the two, something like that. We need to get more transparency in our reporting. We need to loosen up the confidentiality a little bit, where we can report more transactions. We need to get a library of sweetheart deals, of these formula contracts. They call them AMAs in this video that I'm talking about, the alternative marketing agreements, which you can just slip in sweetheart deal every time you see AMA or alternative marketing agreements. But so that's the opinion that I'm coming through. How did it turn out? Fantastic. I think it was fantastic, great. My buddy Justin Tupper, he just continued to launch these softballs out of the park. It was fantastic. He gave the best opening statements. He did the best job reading them. He came from the heart. He had passion about it, you know, and he knew what was there because he wrote it. And he endeared himself to the senators on the panel there. And it was an awesome thing to see. He gave them a little example of auctioneering. When he started out, he talked about his family in his opening statement, statements there. He talked about the sale barn that he owns and runs there in St. Ann, South Dakota. He talked about the challenges that he has doing that, and really the love that he has for his customers and the producers in his area, the troubles he has with what he sees coming down the pike. He just did a great job. He mentioned in there that he had graduated from Kimball High School out in Kimball, South Dakota, and that he was in a class of 35, and this latest class a couple weeks ago was 19, and it kind of exemplified how we see the dwindling and progressively dwindling of our rural ranch communities, and it was just awesome. And he hit every high spot, but where he really come in to shine was when they started asking the questions, and then he come off the cuff. He was articulate. He was kind and polite. He did a very good job doing that. And after endearing himself to that Senate, and everybody thinks, oh, he's just a sale barn guy, sale barn auctioneer. He nailed it, guys. He absolutely nailed it. And whenever they were asking him questions, it was like that all the senators were directing their statements and their questions to him, because he had already endeared himself to them through his opening statements. And it got to the point where he was about the only one getting any questions. He and Dr. Hendrickson from Mizzou, she was kind of a surprise. We talked about likely heroes. The likely one was Justin Tupper. Unlikely was Dr. Hendrickson. She did a great job. Hers was kind of directed from a different angle, but she was very thoughtful. She encouraged kind of these small, local kind of locker plants or beef processors, and how they could kind of connect with their consumer or their customer through social infrastructure. I thought she did a really good job, and it was deep thought there, and she explained herself very well, and I think she did a great job. Now, what about the other ones? Well, the Dr. Aaron that they had come from Rabobank there was very disappointing. Really had no point of view. His opening statements were just crying a river for the Packers. All of them have posted all-time record profits in the last 8 or 10 quarters here. All of them have, with these Black Swan events. And he was expecting us to cry them a river because they have it so tough. And it was hard to listen to. And then he really had no point of view beyond that. And then the questions dried up for him because he really had no place to go with that. Dr. Tonson there, or Tonser out of Kansas State, he had some good talking points there, but basically his whole talk was all about keeping livestock mandatory reporting. Well, that's all great and good, and he did have a deep knowledge in that, but beyond that, he didn't consider himself really available to make any statements on anything. So I don't know why he was up there other than just to give some good points about mandatory price reporting. Hell, I could have done that. But the one that I kind of felt sorry for, and you guys are going to say why. I'm not out to attack anybody personally, but I was really surprised that Mark Gardner of Gardner Angus and the chairman of the board for U.S. Premium Beef put himself out there. He knew what he was up against. He knew that there were many senators on that committee that have already put forth legislation to have mandates for cash trade, and he knew that they had already kind of convinced some of the others to go with him. Yet he still put himself out there. Well, he ended up kind of being a villain in the whole deal, and it was kind of hard to watch there. And now NCBA has put out a press release claiming victory, and I don't know what the victory was on, but I don't know which hearing that they watched. But he was the representative for NCBA. Of course, he is a Packer, and of course, everybody's cussing the Packers right now because they're jealous and they don't believe it's fair and they feel like they're gouging the consumer and everything. And we always talk about the Packer. Who is the Packer? Is it a single individual person? Is it a logo? Is it? Well, mostly it's a board of directors. And him coming in there as the chairman of the board of U.S. Premium Beef, he kind of made himself an easy target there. And whenever he talked about how he thinks that these alternative marketing agreements, these sweetheart deals, are the only way to get value-based marketing and the only way for producers to get paid for having a premium quality product, and how he's benefited from it himself. And for the most part, the opening statement and the first few questions just seemed like an opportunity for him to advertise his bull genetics and advertise the investment in U.S. Premium Beef shares. And it was kind of going that way. And it just felt like we were getting sucked down into that doldrum, and oh ho, here we go, ho hum, we're not going to get anything done. And then all of a sudden, the most unlikely hero of heroes came in, and he had a Spartacus moment. I was just thinking back to some of those old movies, where they used to fight the lions and things in the arena, and it was Cory Booker. It was fantastic. He came on. It was his turn to ask questions, and like a friend of mine said, he said more in 5 minutes of question asking than anybody else had said the whole testimony. He said, "What the hell's going on here? We got the Packers are making all this money. They're making monster profits here, all-time record profits. We're bringing in product from other countries here, and through loopholes in the system, they're able to handle that product just a little bit and then ship it back out as a product to the USA. He nailed that. He nailed several other things in there, and talked about the unfair trade practices and everything. And at that point, when Spartacus come out of his shell, and he turned that whole hearing around, he just shifted it. It pivoted at that point, and at that point, all the other questions were kind of directed towards how do we fix these problems that were addressed here. And all the other questions were kind of directed at our buddy Justin Tupper. And then we had Charles Grassley come in there, and I tell you what, it was funny, but it was really unfair. And like I said, Mark Gardner, I mean, you talk about successful. He's done a great job, great cattleman and everything. But I don't know why he would want to show up there and take all those bullets. Because Charles Grassley, kind of made an ass of him when he first opened up his questioning. He said, well, it looks like we have one person here that's testifying that thinks this whole deal's cozy and they just want to keep it like that. Yet we've got a whole industry that thinks we need change. And it was kind of hard to watch there. And then Chuck Grassley turned to the person that was testifying, who had endeared himself to him, which is Justin Tupper, and he started lobbing these wiffle balls in there to Justin, and I mean, he was rearing back, and I know he plays a lot of golf, and he was ripping the cover off of him, and it was fantastic. And then we had Deb Fisher come in there. She talked about how she grew up in a Sand Hills Ranch in Nebraska. She knew what needed to happen. She started lobbing them in there, and Justin kept cranking them out of the park. And then we had John Thune, who comes from South Dakota, who has always been kind of on the back burner. He hasn't been like Rounds coming out in favor of all these changes, but all of a sudden we had John Thune coming out excited about change and embracing change and needing more competition, and he was working in there with Justin. And then we had Cindy Hyde Smith, and like I said, why anybody that was on the opposite side would have got up there and became a bullseye target for all these people. Cindy Hyde Smith's husband owns a sale barn. They've been in the market, in the stockyard business for years and years. She grew up doing that. I mean, I know people down there in Mississippi that can just call her up anytime they want, and she'll answer the phone and talk to them about the cattle business and the factors that are affecting it. Well, when she started talking sale barn talk with Justin Tupper, I mean, everybody else just not even been in the room. And when she starts, talking sale barn, jive with him, well, when one of my producers backs the gooseneck up and unloads them, how are these alternative marketing agreements going to help that? And I tell you what, it was really unfair. But I mean, it come out, and everybody that was in that committee hearing agreed that changes need to be made. I think we're on the way to doing that. They want to brag about these alternative marketing agreements. It's great for the boardrooms, but really the only premiums that are out there on a big basis are in volume. And if you're a small producer, I mean, you can raise cattle that have diamonds in their ass, and you're not going to get a premium as big as these big outfits are for bringing droves of cattle in and filling these packers' needs. So, and that's the bottom line on the deal. But I tell you what, if you haven't watched it, you got to go on and watch it, and you're going to start out thinking, oh, this ain't going good, and then all of a sudden it's fireworks started going off in the back. But I think Chairman Stabenow did a wonderful job of setting the whole thing up and overseeing it, and she agreed that there's changes have to be made. She appeared to understand what was going on. You could tell that she was filled in what was happening in front of her. But it was a great thing to watch, and I hope you guys get on there and watch it. Let's talk about the board. On Wednesday, June live cattle futures down 60 cents at 122.50. August down 30 at 122.87. Going back from there, they were down 20 cents to down $1.40. August feeder cattle down pretty hard, and we had smoking sale barn cash feeder cattle sales going on in the face of a down feeder cattle futures on Wednesday. But feeder cattle for August down 265 at 155.70. September down 227 at 158.07. You can look at your August, it was down $1.80 to down 227. Now your fat cattle market. We had our trade kind of finally settled in, and we know where our market's at. Iowa sold 1,400 head confirmed, 7,200 head for the week, 124 to 126, 197 to $2 dressed. Nebraska 4,800 head, 8,300 head for the week. Live sales ranging from 125.5 to 126. Dress sales 197 to 202. We hadn't seen that yet. I mean, just dollars and dollars higher. Kansas and the Southern Plains didn't have a lot of trade. Kansas had 200 head confirmed, 1,800 head for the week. They're going to have to do some business here on Thursday and Friday. All they had was some dress sales out of Kansas at 197. Texas only 400 head confirmed, only 1,200 head for the week, and just a few sales at 122 live. And you see that there's a significant premium in the northern feedlot areas compared to the Southern Plains, and they're just tighter on market ready supplies up in the north right now. But you look at box beef cutout values continue tumbling lower, and since I told you that the correlation is very weak between our wholesale beef market and what our fat cattle are bringing, that shouldn't bother us at all, that box beef cutout values are falling from these elevated levels and we're gaining ground in your fat cattle. What that means is we're starting to trim off some of that lard that we call the margin that the packers have been working with, and we're starting to get some of it back. Let's talk about choice cuts. 312.05 down 370. Selects 275.41 down 434. Your slaughter through Wednesday 356,000. That's 1,000 less than a week ago, 5,000 more than the same week a year ago. What else is going on? Don't forget today here, Joplin Regional Stockyards has got a big value added special. About 7,000 head on offer, be long time weaned and vaccinated, preconditioned calves, and they'll be in larger groups, they'll be in more uniform groups. Be a pretty nice rig. You can go on to dvauction.com, view that sale online, or get you an order into Joplin Regional Stockyards there. And don't forget, on July the 1st, got the Primetime Livestock is Big Bang video, going to be at Downstream Casino. I'm going to be there to help take internet bids there, so looking forward to seeing a bunch of you guys. And it's a pretty good time there over in Quapaw, Oklahoma, just west of Joplin there. Going to come back for the 4th of July festivities in Canyon, Texas, and then July the 6th, going to be heading out to Pawhuska, Oklahoma, to a special video sale being held by South Coffeyville Stockyards in South Coffeyville, Oklahoma. And they're supposed to have a pretty good run there too, and I'm looking forward to going up there and taking internet bids for that sale. Now here today on Thursday, I'm going to be going down to San Marcos, Texas. Going to be speaking on a panel, and then on Friday I'll be the keynote speaker at lunch for the Independent Cattlemen of Texas Association there, and that's a nice group, and expecting a good crowd to be there. So looking forward to speaking to a lot of you guys there. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV Auction. Late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 145.24. That's up $1.58. Let's talk about your big sales. OKC West has just been having banner sales this month. It's unbelievable, and a lot of it has to do with timing, them being on a Wednesday. A lot of it has to do with management. They just do a really good job. They get good cattle in there. They market them in a way that the buyers want to buy them. They sell all the heifers first, and then they get on to the steers, and that takes a lot of management, guys. when you got a big run like that, you know, and they had, you know, over 9,000 head of cattle there. And it's unbelievable how they can do that. But if you got feeder heifer orders, when they get on the main line, you get up to the edge of your seat and you start bidding on them. And if you're not interested, you're not there in the way. Then when it comes to steer time, then all the steer boys get ready and they're firing at each other. But the feeder steers, as far as I could tell, government's report was kind of screwed up and it wasn't out on Wednesday night. But feeder steers looked $3 to $4 higher to me for sure. Especially your best tested weights of 800 and 900 pound steers. Feeder heifers were fully steady, maybe a tick higher in spots, but a stick out deal that I saw come out of El Reno, 270 head of 810 pound thin black steers there bring 150.75. Wow. How about Winter Livestock in Dodge City, Kansas? 1,700 head there, lighter run. They're going to be closed for harvest the next week. Then likely closed for 4th of July the next week. I'm not sure if they're having a forced sale, but it'd be light if they did have one. But tell you what, they're at Dodge. They're getting ready for the big King of the Ring sales in early August. That's when the big specials are there in Pratt, and then they've got their High Plains video, and they're going to have a lot of activities going on there. So anybody that can, and they've had a lot of moisture in that area, is holding back for those big specials. But Dodge City, about 1,700 head. Feeder steers there, steady to 5 higher. Feeder heifers were kind of uneven. Let's talk about Harrington, Kansas. They've been working on fixing their clerk setup where they can report their sales into DV Auction, where I can give them to you a lot easier. And then we're going to give them one of these National Beef Wire TVs to hang up in their sale barn for free. So that's the trade out there, and it doesn't cost them anything to do it, and get a lot of promotion out of it on this report and on other reports with National Beef Wire. But Harrington, Kansas sold 59 head of 947 pound steers on Wednesday at $143.50. Thought that was pretty good. Talked to my buddy Ashley Nolan, Texhoma Livestock Exchange, Texhoma, Oklahoma. So he had some calves there, which not a lot of calves moving in the southern plains, but 75 head, 564 pound steer calves, bring $175. Parsons, Kansas had a good sale on Wednesday. A big string of heifers there that had some weight to them. 51 head, 933 pounders, bring 127 and a quarter heifers there. But about the time everybody thinks they had a really smoky sale, then Bassett comes along and blows everybody else out of the water. Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska, 7,100 head there. And I'm just going to pull up the automated report out of Cattle Market Central and give them to you, because there was too many individual quotes to list, and basically every weight group in the steers especially was an individual quote. It's going to be your Zactran top quotes for the day. 756 head of 5-weight steers in Bassett, average 548 at 187.20. All of them, guys. 1,419 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 645 in Bassett. They averaged 172.53 on all of them. 583 head of 7-weight steers, average 731 at 163.17. 623 head of the 8-weight steers, averaged 842, with a weighted average price on all your 8-weight steers of 154.78. 527 head of them, 9-weight steers, averaged 944 at 145.54. And you asked me, did they have free setups and free jugs of whiskey under the bleachers? I don't know, but it kind of looks like it. That's your feeder flash for Thursday.